Hey guys, I use AI chatbots a lot, and these ones would be the most useful right now. And first place goes to Gemini Flash Thinking. But why? Well, first of all, the overall quality matters, but also the speed of reply, and also this version, free and can be used endlessly, but can be customized too. So we have a temperature here that we can change. We can change to other versions too. We can even update the safety settings, which can be oversensitive in some cases. But here, I turned down the civic integrity. Just give it to me straight. But the main starting point is that it is, from what I can tell, it is just as good, or possibly even better, at giving answers, except for coding, as possibly others like R1, O3, and O1. And you can use it as much as you want, you can customize it, and the answers are very quick. And the user experience really matters. Which brings us to our second candidate, would be DeepSeek R1. Now, I do think DeepSeek R1 gives great answers, but it often doesn't answer, or takes a very long time to think, or even takes a very long time to answer. And usually the last two goes hand in hand. So while I do think that the answer quality is pretty high, and it has one of the best searches out there, at the very least they would need to fix the not answering problem. But even so, unless you have a coding related question, you might as well ask Gemini Flash Thinking. Albeit you can somewhat try to mitigate the problem of not answering by trying to use R1, free version, via Open Router. And that kind of works, but sometimes the answers are cut a little short. And again, they can still take a long time to generate. And the third place would have to go to O3 Mini. And the high version does look impressive, but you gotta keep in mind that you get like 5 questions per day on the free version, and even on the paid version, which costs $20 a month, you're still limited. In my opinion, it's not really worth it. I could see someone having a GitHub Copilot subscription and using O3 Mini with that, possibly. Also, one aspect that I really don't like about O3 Mini, that OpenAI decided to have O3 Mini High, O3 Mini Medium, and also O3 Mini Low. And which one you're getting, you don't know. Because outside of O3 Mini High, maybe Medium, it doesn't make sense to use. Also, this might be a personal gripe, but I'm still gonna grind it. Look at this. So we navigate to this page, and what you see: RFK Jr. confirmation vote, Kash Patel confirmation, Tulsi Gabbard, Gulf of Mexico, and whatever the fuck, right? I don't care about this. Terrible user experience. Never been done before, and no other AI chat is doing this. That they have some kind of ad, especially some kind of political angle. And this could be even more invasive, in a way, than just Google. And that's really a lot to say. Because if you just use the default Google and you try to search for things, then it might recommend that you search for certain things based on what you're typing in. But here, I'm not even typing in anything yet. It is just telling me what I want to possibly look at. I actually happen to have a Copilot subscription, and I'm just showing this as an example that you can subscribe to ChatGPT Pro for $20 a month, or you can subscribe to Copilot for $10 a month, which I'm exclusively using for coding here. But you can actually ask other questions, and it does use the same API to answer to you. So with this subscription, we have O1, O3 Mini, and Claude 3.5. And I would argue that, yeah, $10 a month to speed up coding, speed up work, yeah, that's gonna be worth it. And it's currently one of the best deals out there. You can try to compete with it by possibly trying to use R1 on your own. But my point is the price is kind of competitive. But then you have ChatGPT Plus, which is like $20 a month. And unless you want to be a tester or possibly have access to Sora video generation, I don't get it. I really don't like it that O3 Mini is split into 3 versions, high, medium, and low. Because if it's not high, then I don't really care. Like, just look at the coding average. This seems a little inflated, but whatever, let's just run with it. But it does show that if we are not getting the high version, then might as well use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And you wouldn't use the medium version. It doesn't make too much sense. You would even use DeepSeek R1. So these would be the top 3 options. I'm, by the way, not advocating for some kind of a GitHub Copilot subscription just to use O3. In fact, I'm telling you that the chatbot that I use the most is Gemini Flash Thinking. But of course, for coding, I would, well, first of all, I would be not in a chatbot usually. But mostly I would be using Claude 3 Sonnet. And sure, you can try to use O3 Mini and hoping you get the smart version, although the score seems a little inflated. And by the way, I quite enjoy the Gemini series and the Google AI Studio. I'm mainly not mentioning the other ones because apparently the Gemini Flash Thinking is the best, but you might like Gemini 2 Pro too. And there's an API, Gemini 2 Flash dominates for its value proposition. Other 2 AIs that could possibly worth mentioning is Qwen 2 Max. Score-wise, it's a little lower, but feature-wise, it's actually pretty full. You can generate images in the chat and videos too. And apparently the quality can be okay, but don't really get your hopes up. You're gonna like a 5-second video after minutes of generation. But hey, others are giving you nothing, so this wins by default. Other one that would be worth mentioning would be Claude, a 3.5 Sonnet. But this is also limited. I think you get like 5 replies per day. And as long as you have a $10 subscription to GitHub Copilot, for example, you never come here. And platform-wise, the easy winner, for me at least, and I would argue it's truly the best, right now is Google, the Google AI Studio. You can customize, and you always get an answer, and the answers are pretty fast. While OpenAI right now would be more like ads, a limitation, and price gouging. And clearly my second favorite would be DeepSeek. And it clearly has one of the best searches. You often see that what are the best backend hosting providers? So found 7 results. And it's gonna think about it too. So this is gonna be a detailed answer with 29 seconds of thinking and 37 results. While comparing it to a different service, Qwen is much faster to answer, but it's only using 9 sources as a reference. And because of that, although you can argue that, and based on the score only, it seems like, yeah, it's gonna be like not that much worse. But it doesn't matter how smart it is if it's only using like 9 blogs as a reference. So it's night and day compared to what DeepSeek gave us. Just tell us the type of platform as a service, list a few of them, backend as a service, list a few of them, infrastructure as a service, list them. Of course, you can go more into detail, serverless, fast, function as service, and manage cloud. And of course, we can check which site it's using as a reference. Gemini 2 Flash Thinking, in this case, would give a similarly good answer, I would argue, but you don't see what references it's using, so... nor how many references it's using. But the answer still would be pretty damn good. Well, in this case, this would be O3. Top backend hosting providers. The first one is Back4App. I don't even know what that is. And the second would be Heroku. So this theoretically is the smartest AI out there. To which I would say, it is very often good at hiding it. We can go over it, like, sure, it lists valid options, but it's not really a detailed breakdown. Well, like, you know, that's what I found on the internet, and like, put them in arbitrary order. I don't really understand how. Oh yeah, actually, this is worse than I thought, because I scrolled to the very bottom, and apparently it's using this blog, Back4App blogs, as a reference. This is the only reference being used. That's why Back4App kind of got to the top. So, there you go. So we used one reference. A more cynical me might even say that, were they paid for this answer? Is it just really bad?
or it's kind of promoted. Because with all the promotions they are doing, promoting various topics, I wouldn't be surprised if it's even not happening right now. That is the way the winds are blowing. Compared to that, QM Max would be a legend with its 9 references. But anyway, we kind of, unfortunately, see some kind of bad influence on DeepSeek too. So platform service, so we see back for app, although we used 37 results, we got back for app at the top, and we see a bunch of options. So this is more useful, and it's clearly better presented, and we can definitely work on this. But if we scroll to the bottom, explore sources like back for app blog and Firebase documentation. Which kind of brings up the question, am I the one living under a rock, not hearing about this back for app? But still, at very least, it would be concerning that how much it's using a certain blog as a reference instead of just thinking about the option. Although, I would argue that this is clearly better presented. And in case of the Gemini answer, it's just AWS, GCP, Azure, Heroku, Render, DigitalOcean, Netlify, fair enough. We got Lambda, Google Cloud Functions, Azure Functions, Vercel Functions, sure, DigitalOcean, Linode, Vultr, okay, MongoDB, sure. So, the back for app did not even make the cut. So DeepSeek is kind of picking up some bad influence from OpenAI. And OpenAI is claiming to be the smartest kid in class, but if you ask him, he's really good at hiding it. Even Claude would be possibly more useful here, although you can definitely prompt other AIs to give you better answers, but suppose you know nothing, right? You might not be able to tell what is a good answer and what is not a good answer, and that is truly a benchmark of an AI. How much you can really trust it, assuming you know nothing. And Claude here would be giving you a solid start. So that is it. I suppose I'm a shameless Google fanboy, but I do like DeepSeek R1 quite a bit, albeit it's sometimes weird. Not nearly as much as OpenAI. And when it comes to coding, or possibly when it comes to asking coding-related questions, theoretically, O3 Mini wins with its high version. But are you getting that? Because my experience would be that Claude 3.5 Sonnet or DeepSeek R1 usually gives you better answers. And that is it. So yeah,